Today, we're looking at Colorverse Mars Curiosity. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Colorverse Mars Curiosity is a red ink, which sometimes for their inks, I'm not sure about the colors of why they chose them. This one, I absolutely understand, and it's perfect. It is the red planet, after all. Now, to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day, I then put it into a Pierre Cardin President with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down immediately, put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. It pushes straight up. There is a darker line on the bottom, straight up with some very light red to the very dark red at the top. This is a pure red, a great basic red as a color. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I put it into water. The line across the bottom is much, much darker, and the ink did not travel as high up on the filter paper, and those are the major differences I'm seeing between these two. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it is to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I am drawn immediately to that lowercase h where it is bloomed out. You can't really see it, and if you were writing stuff and you weren't 100% sure of what was there, I think you would lose it. I would not use this ink in a note-taking situation. Water reactivates, lifts most of that ink off. We do see a lot of the lighter red left behind. I'm not sure that water gets all of this. Now, strangely, pen flush didn't do more than water. It seems to have done less than water, which is weird. I'm hoping that pen flush would be all that it would take to get it out of the pen, but I wouldn't say for certain based on that. Bleach, as would be expected, obliterates it off the page. Now, I don't think you should need bleach, but if you did, it's a 1/3 bleach solution, and it should be into the pen and out of the pen quickly, and then immediately flushed out. Don't leave that bleach in there. Don't use a lot of it if you actually did need to use this to get it out of your pen. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Colorverse Mars Curiosity has a viscosity of 2.08, making it just a wetter ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper with the extra fine and medium nib. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Colorverse Mars Curiosity has an average dry time of 16 seconds, making it normal, almost even average, but not quite. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Darker tone than we got with the extra fine. The extra fine had no feather spread, no halo sheen or shade, 10 seconds to dry. Darker tone with the medium, so we do see some tone differences when it comes out of different nibs. So it's got that. The medium has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. The extra fine and the medium scrubby both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and a smear test, you could likely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. So Tomoe River. Tomoe River gives us no bleeding, minor ghosting, because it's Tomoe River. You just can't avoid. I don't understand why everybody loves this paper so much. I get it for an archival idea of it's much smaller, but that's it for me. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a lighter tone than we got with the 1.1. The extra fine is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. A darker tone on the medium.
It is the same tone that we got with the 1.1. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 25 seconds to dry. I don't know that this ink feels 25 seconds worth waiting. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. The smear test, you wrote on Tomoe River and you smeared it while you were writing, and you have the nerve to be able to recover. There's no recovery from that. Sorry. Rhodia. Rhodia has no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. I'm not a fan of this red. It's just, I don't know. Marketing reasons, I don't know. Extra fine, lighter tone than we got with the 1.1. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. Darker tone on the medium, noticeably darker tone. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. And the smear test, you could likely recover it. So what happens with yellow Rhodia? Let's try this because it was to me such an uninteresting ink. You got to try some different tone papers. Yellow Rhodia gave us no bleeding, no ghosting, which was no surprise. No change in the color of the ink for being on a different tone paper, which means I'm still fairly disappointed with the color I'm looking at. The 1.1 had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. Lighter tone into the extra fine, which had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 12 seconds to dry. Darker tone on the medium, back to the tone we saw with the 1.1. The medium had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. Smear test, you could likely recover it. I'm just pushing through here, people. This one is unenjoyable. Life paper. Life gives us no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. Same exact tone on the extra fine. It doesn't look exactly the same on the camera, but in person it does. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Same exact tone for medium, which had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, and took 16 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation, and we got no color variation. The smear test says you could likely recover it. Nothing like recovering disappointing color. It's red. I mean, it is red. I don't have a problem with red. I don't like this red. This is what is Franklin Christoph paper. Franklin Christoph gave us no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a noticeably lighter tone, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, in 5 seconds to dry, which is nice and quick. That's nice. Noticeably lighter tone or darker tone with the medium, which had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. I did have some very messy writing right here. That's not the ink doing anything. That's me being a moron. 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation in either the extra fine or the medium. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. And the smear test, you could likely recover disappointing red if you smeared this while you were writing. I'm disappointed with this as a color. I hope somebody really does enjoy it. I hope that everybody that worked on that loves this ink. I don't. That's all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Colorverse Mars Curiosity, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen Krishna's Cool Breeze because that is a great blue to go with this perfectly basic red. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Colorverse Mars Curiosity? It leaves me feeling just whelmed. It's a basic red. It's dull and uninteresting to me. With that, I know that I'm not a huge fan of red inks. They're not normally what I go for. I would rather a pink or a magenta. I'm glad I only have a sample and not a bottle of this ink. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad ink. It's a bad ink for me. Thanks for watching.